Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. was born January 17, 1942. He was an American professional boxer and activist. He is one of the most celebrated sports figures in the 20th century. From early in his career, Clay was an inspiring, controversial, and polarizing figure both inside and outside the ring. Clay was born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky, and began training as an amateur boxer when he was 12 years old. Clay made his amateur boxing debut in 1954 against an amateur boxer, a split decision win. He was a gold medalist by 1960 in the light heavyweight division at the Summer Olympics in Rome, after which he turned professional later that year. At age 22, in 1964, he won the WBA, WBC, and lineal heavyweight titles from Sonny Liston. In defeating Sonny Liston, Clay at 22 was the youngest boxer to take the title by defeating a reigning champion. Clay then converted to Islam and changed his name from Cassius Clay, which he called his slave name, to Muhammad Ali. Ali set an example of racial pride for African Americans and resistance to white domination during the 1960s civil rights movement. 2 years after winning the heavyweight title in '66, Ali further antagonized the white establishment in the United States by refusing to be drafted into the military for not only his religious beliefs, but in opposition to American involvement in the Vietnam War campaign. For his opposition, he would be arrested, found guilty of draft evasion, and stripped of his boxing titles. He successfully appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, which overturned his conviction in 1971, by which time he had not fought for almost 4 years, aged 25 to 29, not fighting in the period of his athletic peak. Ali's action as a conscientious objector to the war made him an icon for the larger counterculture generation. Ali is regarded as one of the leading heavyweight boxers of the 20th century. He remains the only three-time lineal heavyweight champion, having won the title in '64, 1974, and 1978. Between February 25, 1964 and September 19, 1964, Ali reigned as the undisputed heavyweight champion. He's the only boxer to be named the Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year 6 times. He was ranked as the greatest athlete of the 20th century by Sports Illustrated and Sports Personality of the Century by BBC. ESPN Century Sports Century ranked him the 3rd greatest athlete of the 20th century. Nicknamed the greatest, he was involved in several historic boxing matches: the Fight of the Century, Super Fight 2, Thriller in Manila, and the Rumble in the Jungle. At a time when most fighters let their managers do the talking, Ali thrived and indeed craved the spotlight. Where he was often provocative and outlandish, he is known for trash talking and often freestyle with rhyme schemes and spoken word poetry, both for his trash talking in boxing and as political poetry for his activism, anticipating elements of rap and hip-hop music. As a musician, Ali recorded 2 spoken word albums and a rhythm and blues song, and received 2 Grammy Award nominations. As an actor, he performed in several films and a Broadway musical. Ali wrote 2 autobiographies, one during and one after his boxing career. Ali had a highly unorthodox boxing style for a heavyweight, epitomized by his catchphrase, "Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee." Never an overpowering puncher, Ali relied early in his career on his superior hand speed, superb reflexes, and constant movement, dancing and circling opponents for most of the fight, holding his hands low and lashing out with a quick, cutting left jab that he threw from unpredicted angles. His footwork was so strong that it was extremely difficult for opponents to cut down the ring and corner Ali against the ropes. He was also able to quickly dodge punches with his head movement and footwork. Ali passed June 16, 2016, a legend, a philanthropist, and a devout Muslim. My name is Marc DeWitt, and this has been another Black History Moment.